What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Trench Grenade channel. I am your host, the average Eastern European conflict enjoyer that your mom said that we have at home. Thanks for watching. Guys, the purpose of today's video is I'm going to share with you my experiences during my rotation to Ukraine, okay? Some of you may not have known that I was in Ukraine. Some of you may know that I was in Ukraine, okay? The time period that I was in Ukraine was during the first invasion of Crimea, okay? 2014 to 2015. Guys, this video is going to serve as a kind of a documentary for myself, and I think whatever, and you guys for entertainment or for just knowledge from somebody else's experiences through witnessing hardship, through witnessing and experiencing hardship myself, and through growing a lot as a person, okay? Myself and the people to my left and right in my unit, we grew a lot. We saw a little bit, a glimpse of what the world really is. Not the sheltered false reality we live in here in the United States. So buckle up. I have some water. Hopefully we can get through this video in one take, okay? Grab whatever beverage you want. Post down below what you're drinking for the comment section to kind of, cut the algorithm god and all that. So before we get too far into it, if you guys are here and you want to support the channel, check out the link below if you want to join the Discord or whatever. Everything will be linked below. That's how you support the channel. Okay, so timeline. Oh, and if you guys end up enjoying this video, if you also, you're gonna have to bear with me. I've been out on the range all week, so if my voice sounds rough or I look rough, that's why. If you guys enjoy this video and want to hear about more experiences I've had in other Eastern European countries doing the anti-Russia thing, just post down below, okay? I've been all over the world, and if there's a country in Europe that you think I've been there, I probably have. Okay, so timeline. Timeline was end of 2014 into 2015, okay, during the invasion of Crimea. I was in the 173rd. I was a team leader, okay, a rifle fire team leader. I was a corporal, I believe, at the time. So I had 3 soldiers under my responsibility, and it was a rifle squad. So all we had to do was work out, and all they had to do was do what I told them, and I just listened to my platoon sergeant and squad leader, right? So that was kind of my actual mission, okay? I was in the 1st Squadron, 91st Cavalry Regiment, again in the 173rd Airborne, okay? Our mission was to go there and to advise and to train. We were to conduct a train up after the National Guard rotated from the front. So they finished their time in combat and they rotated to us. Our mission was to train them and to get them reset and refit to go back out and fight the Russians again. So keep that in mind throughout this, documentation for my own records or whatever, just for me to be able to look back on. As these guys had seen combat, they'd seen the realities of war, and they were listening to a bunch of paratroopers, American and Canadian paratroopers that were relatively fresh, and they were coming back with torn up uniforms and living out of tents, in the mud or in holes in the ground, and we're coming out of our barracks, right? So it was a little bit of a culture shock for both sides there. My specific role during this was to train land navigation, communications, rifle marshalship, and room clearing. I'm going to talk about some of those things in a second, but keep in mind, guys, our job was not to run a basic training. When we were first given the mission, we were kind of told that we were going to go there and conduct a basic training. When we got closer to the actually boots on the ground, we realized these guys have just came out of combat, literally, with the enemy. So they were not in need of a basic training. They were in need of structure, and they were in need of tactics, okay? Tactics advisement, and that's what we gave them. So these were not children by any means. They were grown men, hardened men by war, and in no means is this to discredit them at all. Like I said, my specific mission, so I was to teach them basic land navigation, how to maneuver from point A to point B, communications, how to talk on a radio, how to use a radio, basic stuff like that. I'm going to put an asterisk next to that, and I want to talk about a little anecdote about radio communications here in a little bit. Rifle marshalship. At the time, they were using the AK-74 and the AK-103, I believe, okay? The AK-103s and some of the older AK-47s that they had were kind of rusted up. So the new for them was the AK-74, and they were using the PKM machine gun. Guys, if you don't know anything about the PKM machine gun, go watch a video after this, but the PKM is legit. It's one of my favorite machine guns after my time in Ukraine. Okay, and the last thing I taught was room clearing. That was later in their cycle or in their train out. All right, guys, a quick anecdote about communications. Early on in the war, radios were getting people killed. They didn't understand how to use them, and they weren't using them effectively, so the enemy was outmaneuvering them. As slow-moving as the Russians are, they were able to outmaneuver the Ukrainians in the early days because the Ukrainians were not effectively communicating on the radio, from my experience. Okay, so as far as rifle marksmanship and room clearing, we taught them the basics. Like I said, guys, the room clearing. Let's talk about Battle Drill 6 that we taught them. We taught them our Battle Drill 6, or 6 Alpha at the time. We taught it to them, but then we tried to elaborate that there's no such thing as a perfect room clear. If you've ever cleared a room, you know there's going to be a couch, there's going to be trash, there's going to be something in the way. It's never going to be a perfect corner fed or center fed. It's not going to be like some of these YouTubers trying to train you up on some fictitious room clearing situation. It's almost never going to happen that way. There's going to be chaos, there's going to be debris, things in the way. So just understanding the idea of how to conduct room clearing is what we were trying to get across to them, so they could develop their own SOPs and TTPs to be able to actually conduct room clearing. So I think that's a keynote for all you high speeds that want to go and do room clearing. It's not going to be that way. Okay, I have on here weather. The weather is beautiful in Ukraine. It gets hot in the summer months, but we were there in the beginning of winter. Winter in Ukraine is hell. It's extremely cold, obviously, snow, and you're gonna freeze your ass off. Let's just put it like that. Soldiers' morale. So their morale was extremely low. The reason their morale was low is because the Russians were pounding them with artillery. Being under indirect fire had crushed their morale because they were not able to return fire in the same manner that they were receiving it, i.e. they were getting the shit shelled out of them, and they just had to sit in their holes and take it, okay? So their morale was extremely low. And it was our responsibility to kind of understand that and work with it without breaking their trust. We had to earn their trust. We didn't want to break their trust by trying to force the issue, right? Because obviously their morale is going to impact our morale, and soldiers' morale is huge, okay? So the state of their morale was relatively low at the time. The mindset of the population. The locals all understood that there would eventually be a time when it would be a full-scale war. At the time that I was in Ukraine, it was not to the level of a full-scale war. They thought it was just going to be the annexation of Crimea, which obviously Russia thinks that Crimea is theirs and Ukraine believes it's theirs. So there's that whole deal. So at the time, the mindset of the population was they were starting to understand the idea of militias. Unfortunately, they had not fully armed themselves for the later invasion. One second. Excuse me. For the later invasion. So that was interesting to watch because now everyone here in the United States is so opinionated on the Ukrainian conflict when they have no dog in the fight. And it's interesting to see old, I wouldn't call myself old, but dudes that have been there who have direct investment in the people we trained, not necessarily their country, but just the soldiers that we, shared blood, sweat, and tears with. And then there's people over here developing an opinion. So I would say before you post something politically about this, just to get off on a little tangent, even though most of you already have, remember, the people you're talking about are real people, okay? It's not just a country or whatever. There's people right now, as this video is probably being watched by you, that are losing their lives or giving their lives in sacrifice for their units in Ukraine, all right? So yeah, the mindset of the population was not to the point that it is now. Outdated gear. When I was there, they were rocking a lot of BMP2s, and a lot of their kit was there's a lot of old body armor systems, okay? They were still modernizing a little bit, but that has all changed now. But at the time I was there, the gear was very outdated. They did not have the artillery capability that the Russians had. Disease. So disease was a real issue when I was in Ukraine. Pink eye or variants of the flu were rampant, okay? Those of you that have been in austere environments, okay, understand what I'm talking about. When one soldier gets it, there's no way to isolate it. No matter if you try to quarantine them, So disease and sickness were a real serious issue, all right? If you've never experienced it, if you've never experienced a rat plague, okay, where they're literally, we call them the first heart rat or the morale rat because it only took things that you wanted, right? But yeah, dudes were waking up with rats on them. It was pretty bad, okay? But that's just a couple things about the rats and stuff like that and disease. And just know that it's a key thing that no one ever talks about, but it's that part was pretty disgusting as well. I got on here bonds through training. So a couple things I want to talk about to kind of close this out. If you guys want to hear more, just let me know. But just know the guys we trained from the time we got them to the time they left, we had a significant impact on their mindset and their tactical ability to defend themselves and operate and fight and win whatever missions they needed to be called upon. And there's an unfortunate situation. So obviously our two units bonded a lot during the time that I was there. However, so I was there for 4 to 5 months. By the time we left, we later received word that they had taken very accurate indirect fire that was due to, and I can't get into very specifics, due to certain individuals potentially selling out their frontline trace or their positions, causing most of the unit to be destroyed. So to kind of wrap this in with my closing thoughts are, the purpose of me telling you guys this is before you go out and you post some opinion about Israel or about Ukraine or Taiwan or whatever, remember the people that you're talking about on the other end of that are real people, okay? And a lot of people have direct investment in the things that are happening, okay? So just remember that in a world of, oh, I gotta post something out there right now about my opinion, and oh, I gotta let everyone know what I think about the current trend, maybe just take a second and actually develop an opinion. If you don't have a competent one, maybe don't share it. But if you guys enjoy this about this little anecdote about my time in Ukraine, very short and sweet, just to kind of tell you what I did there, let me know. If you want to hear more, let me know. If you want to hear about other operations I've been on, now that it's been a few years and I can share about it, let me know. But yeah, that kind of sums up very quickly as the dogs escaped my time in Ukraine. Okay? Let me know if you guys want to hear more. Post in the comments below your experiences if you have any. And until next time, it's going to be Trench Grenade, your average Eastern European conflict enjoyer, signing out. Cheers.